Can you believe that we are on the final chapter? Ooh, spoiler alert, don't watch this episode first. Because today we are finishing up The Nature of Forces by me, Genevieve Gravel. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, love you, love you. And if you're new, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Okay, so I gotta show you what my partner got me because it's too cute. Look! She's a little matcha green tea with her whipped cream and a little straw. And she's got a little tea leaf. Oh, I just love her. I love her. He said it gave Korok vibes. I see it. Janice is in the house today, the real star of the show. Those of you that have been following me for a minute know that Janice is my pet fly, and her favorite thing to do is photobomb me while I'm filming. So The Nature of Forces, the final chapter. I reach Alexandria Major first. Guy is miles behind me, straining to catch up. He's found a bicycle someplace, but I still outran him with ease. My feet carried me over the rough terrain and across the barren paths with grace, even with a bird in tow. It is still the dead of night, and I'm surprised how quickly everything's transpired. It's late, yeah, but it's still far from daybreak. I know I need to find Ramon, though I don't know clearly why. I just feel an overwhelming urge to seek him out. I can see him with my mind's eye seated at an old bar, talking and laughing with his friends. They're excited for the night's progress. When I entered the bar, I found him seated next to Amber, who turned her head with a flirtatious smile. She spotted the raven in me, and her smile quickly faded. Amber, upon sight of the raven, the bird she had known most of her life, she knew the story of the raven and the dove. She could remember a time when they flew free. She knew that the bird was one with Celeste and that her friend would never let it go. And with that, she knew of Celeste's demise. For it's the only reason the raven would be away from the castle and away from Celeste. She doesn't, however, know of me. Amber found herself in shock. She was unable to speak. From across the room, I could feel her grief as she quietly mourned the loss of her life's companion. Her best friend. She held her palm to her chest as if to shield the pain, yet no tears flowed. I could see the pain on her face, but moreover, I could feel the pain as if it were my own. I wished I cared, but I felt hatred toward her, of the likes I can't explain. I almost feel proud to bring her such devastation. I've never felt such ill-willed emotions before, and in all honesty, I never thought such emotions could exist in any person, and here it resides in my heart. More than anything I had witnessed or any crime I had committed on this night, that brought me sadness. I felt so ashamed. Are you Ramon? I asked, taking a seat on a wooden chair. They all celebrated by sipping on ale and swapping tales of their courage. The noise was almost deafening. He responded and pulled a chair for me to join him. He introduced himself and Amber with a smile across his face, but no sooner did I sit down and open my mouth to introduce myself, Ramon saw him, and he went white. Kahai had caught up with me. I turned my head to him, and I felt relief with the knowledge that Kahai was once again by my side. But Ramon, he must have surely thought that he was seeing a spirit of the dead, for whatever explanation could there be. I spoke first. Please, you must hear our tale. But Ramon ignored me, rushed past me to Kahai, and punched him square in the jaw. Kahai shook off the punch and the fight, and the urge to fight back. He stood tall and took another blow, and then another. The bird in my arms started to freak out. It squealed and squawked. The bar had gone silent. Everyone had turned to watch the commotion. Amber turned her head to her old lover in shock. She thought she had hid from him. She thought she had got away. She had no idea what brought Kahai to the castle, but she wrongly assumed that it was to exact his revenge on her. Please listen, Kahai tried to explain when he saw Amber. She's the one. She's the witch. It was she. I told you I was bewitched. Ramon, realizing that Kahai had once had his lover punched Kahai again in the face. Amber was thrilled at the gesture. She existed for that kind of attention and excitement. "Stop!" I screamed, and they did. In fact, I believe everyone in the room stopped watching the fight and turned to look at me. "It's okay," Ramon announced. "Go back to your business." And the people listened to him and went about their business. Bar fights aren't uncommon. Kahai took a seat and a long, slow drink of ale, trying to shake off the blows. He began to tell the story, pointing to the bird. "It is a dove to which this bird belongs, and we have reason to believe that if the raven and the dove are reunited, that the moon will return and all life will prevail." And as far-fetched as the story may have sounded to anyone other than Amber and Ramon, they believed. Amber, of course, was there. She had once bore witness to all the crimes committed against Mother Nature, and she had seen the consequences that followed. Ramon, after seeing the vampire's lair and witnessing them turning to bone and dust on that very night, I think nothing seemed far-fetched anymore. Magic had proven to him and his greatest desire, save Amber, was to free his people, free them of the oppression Mother Nature had forced upon them for more than one generation. He remembered the stories his father had passed down to him from his fathers. He wanted for his entire life to see these things come to pass. Life, color, the moon. "So," Ramon stated calmly, as if to his oldest and dearest friend, "I can't believe you survived the pit." Kahai responded, "You don't want to know." "That was my sister," Ramon said. I know, and I would never," Kahai responded. "Well, I know of the dove you've asked. I've seen the dove on this very eve," Ramon said. "I will guide you there in the morning. We've had a long day's fight." "No," I insisted. "We must go now. It must be tonight. Just show me the way and I'll track it alone," Kahai responded. "You go nowhere without me." I found the caves quickly and with ease. The terrain seemed to glide under my feet. I felt weightless. I could see clearly in the dark, and I could breathe the toxic air with ease. When we arrived, I checked on the raven in his cage. I'd not let go of it since the castle. It feels like days ago, and in fact, it had only been a few hours. I found the raven near death in his cage. I revived him with a single touch as I looked through the embers of the dying flames. Through the tunnels, the raven had become agitated, and I know we must be close. We just must be. I entered the library. Yeah, I did. I lost my place, but I was in the library. Just kidding. I entered the library. The one I had seen in my dreams for many years. The one where Paulo, my father, had spent most of his time. I could feel Paulo's presence linger here. Strong winds swirled throughout the room from the broken window. The dove was in the golden cage. It was so much larger than I had dreamt. A tree filled the cage's volume, and the dove was perched on a branch. It was near death. It didn't even make a sound as we approached it. I reached in and took the bird in my hands. I held it close to my chest. I could feel its faint and dying heartbeat. I breathed into its mouth, and it slowly came back to livelihood. It began to flap its wings wildly, and the raven did the same. I released the dove, just as Kahai released the raven, and the two came together. They flew out the shattered window and up into the sky. The vision before me was of a single spiral of white and black that trailed behind the twirling birds, and I could see the witch Liliana's presence, and it brought me comfort. I don't know what happened to her once we fled the castle, but she was here now, and that was all that mattered. The bird's form faded from sight as the clouds began to part, and the sun's rays began to shine. In Alexandria, people came out from their huts and their homes to feel the sun on their skin. Beautiful, life-giving rays. And then the rain began to fall, erasing the gray. Once again, life had begun anew. A few hours later, As Gahai and I entered the town of Alexandria Major, the people gathered around us in joyous praise. "All hail the Queen," one person shouted, and all the people began to cheer. "No, no," I declined. I responded, "It's a crime against Mother Nature for one to rule over another. We're all born free, and free we shall be. I have no need to take power from another, for those thoughts and those actions could only lead to oppression and corruption. Our strength is only in our continued unity. We must remember our history. We come from Mother Nature, for she is our true queen. And one day, we will all return to her. While she grants us life, we must be respectful of her teachings and thankful for her gifts. Instead, I ask of you to allow me to live in peace as one of you, within your cities, in peace and love, not as my people, as one people, one family, one love." I said it, though it made me feel like a traitor. Did I not still possess the power of the moon? And with that, am I not holding all her glory and all her powers hostage? I'm filled with confusing thoughts, and my feelings were taking over my mind. I sat here in celebration with the people whom I've fallen deeply in love with. And they look to me like I'm a hero. Am I? They each in turn speak to me with love and hope. They share with me their tales of horror and desires for the future. I feel so strong and powerful. I know I can make all of their hopes realities. I can will the rains to fall. I can wish the sun to shower upon them, and with a single touch, I can bear fruits to harvest. I could run as the crow flies. The forces of Mother Nature resided within me. My want, all my desire. Under it all, though, I knew this could not be a blessing, or something considered gifted to me. I stole it, just as my aunt had stole it. I feel as Paulo must have felt. All these powers are not gifts to be reveled in, the result of a series of curses inflicted out of selfish and thoughtless actions. None of this ever needed to be. Could all have been avoided if any other decisions had been made. When I closed my eyes, I could still smell the smoke. I could see the bloodshed. It poured over my every thought. Hero? No. I'm no hero. I'm a cold-blooded murderer. I killed my aunt. I put a silver longsword through my sister's skull. These aren't actions that deserve to be rewarded, no matter if the ends justified the means or not. I'd had a vision of my sister's death. I told myself that this long journey was to save her. But was it? Was it just Mother Nature willing me to her rescue? Or was it just me acting out of anger and desperation, a desperation to end the depression and the loneliness that had defined my existence for so long? Have I come all this way to act out a single state of revenge? That's what it felt like. I had not given one thought to the people of Alexandria when that blade slid through her like a knife through butter, struck the floor. I had not a single urge to rejoice in Mother Nature or to protect her when Hazel's blood splattered across my face. All I saw in that moment was the end of a cycle of desperate sadness. I wanted to regain my power. I had wanted to regain my power. I had wanted for my life to be defined on my terms and not by that of my sister's harsh judgments. Is that heroic? I'm a cold-blooded murderer. And now I'm reaping rewards no one person should behold. That is the nature of forces. And they need to be returned, come what may, to the rightful place. I must give them back to Mother Nature. I don't want to. This power inside of me was so intoxicating. I wanted to keep it. I wanted a moment to be as selfish as those who had come before me. Now I know I would use my powers for the benefit of all humanity. I mean, I tell myself I would. Would I? Or am I mistaken? Is this euphoric intoxication the will of the powers that be? Or are they just toxic? Am I toxic? I'm a cold-blooded murderer. I know what I must do. I didn't know if I could. I went against everything that my heart desired. However, for the people to be truly free and for life to fully renew, I must set her free. I must release the moon's power. It's not mine. It never belonged to Celeste, and it didn't belong to me. I fear I couldn't do it. I wanted to ask Kahai for his help. No, his answer would have been no, a firm no. So I turned to the witch Liliana, and I told her with my mind that she was the only one that could set us free. After spending the day drinking and dancing and dining amongst the people of Alexandria, I listened to the stories of the great battle and how the vampire's reign was overruled the night before. I smiled on the outside. On the inside, I wept. I listened to the hopes and the dreams of the young, and I was overwhelmed with the thanksgiving from the town's elders. Once this day is done and the sun is set, I'm saddened to see the moon as it rose. It should be a new moon, but it's not there. I know nothing will be as it should if it fails to rise. I can feel the powers residing inside myself. Oh, so euphoric. I want to keep this feeling. I want to stay this way forever. I could. I wanted to stay here forever. I had so much to learn, so much to teach. I could stay this way, if only for a short time, just for now. Perhaps just for a year. One more year. What harm could it do? But I know if I did choose to stay this way, 1 year would become 2, and 2 would become 4. So on forevermore. I've harnessed these powers that Celeste once stole. They must be returned. I knew how to give it back. Give back that which never should have been stolen. The powers that be should reside in their rightful place, gifted and given by Mother Nature. It's far too unnatural and devastating a crime to take that which does not belong to you. I had to return these gifts so that everybody could prosper. The goddess of the moon is not I, and she belongs in the sky to once again grace us with her presence for a single week every new year. But still, I could wait. And I swear to myself, I swore to myself that I would never use these powers for selfishness, only for the good of the people, the good of the community, the good of all life that surrounds me now. That's not what's in the best interest of Mother Nature. And I know that all we do in this life and in the next should be to honor her and her alone. I don't know if I can do it. But if I don't do it now, we will forever stay this way in suspended animation. If I chose to stay this way, then I was no better than the evil that had come before me. And how was I to truly save them if I couldn't save them from myself? Now it's far too big of a lie to be told anyway. So just before sundown, I took my leave alone. I hiked in silence into the woods that surrounded the dark mountain. I tied myself to a deadened tree. With nothing more than my mind, I set it ablaze. While the witch Liliana recited the burial rites, I screamed out in pain as my flesh began to burn. A sweet release came over me as I felt the powers leaving my burning body. I felt the sweet relief and the calm presence wash over me as my body died and returned to my Mother Nature. And with a single bluish-white ray beaming from the sky, the moon's powers had been set free, and the goddess herself was home. And the moon rose for the first time this era. It glowed soft hues of purples and lilacs over the dark mountain, and its beam peeked through the wooded treetops and settled to slumber over the waters of the calm sea. And the tide once again came in, bringing with it the promise of a bountiful new year for the first time in generations. Year one of the moon. What will your legacy be? The end. So I want to give a quick shout out to my dad, Cliff Gravel, who was an amazing writer in his own right. And throughout the processing of line editing this work had taught me so much more than he will ever know. Not only as a writer, particularly on grammar and punctuation, because if you ever, I've said it many times throughout this series, and if you ever purchase this book, you will see that I can't write for shit, but I can tell this story like a motherfucker. But he taught me as a person that one of the most important lessons in life that one person could give to another, and that's to never, ever let go of your passion. Never, ever give up on a dream. And celebrate every accomplishment, no matter how small it may seem. This is the first book I ever wrote, and I've always loved telling stories. I've always had a huge passion for telling stories. I did it whether it was through fashion or painting or acting or even just reading, even studying history, all of these things. It's all about storytelling for me. That's where my passion lies. That's where it's always lied. And I was always told I could never be a writer because of my disability. And yeah, my technique and my understanding of the rules and my spelling and my grammar, it's all crap, sure. But the stories, the imagination's there. And I'm so glad I wrote this book, even if only the 148 people that have purchased it ever, even if only the very few of you that actually watch this series listen to it. Thank you. Thank you for being my audience. You have no idea how much this story means to me. I love it, and I love you, and don't worry, because I will be back next month for Fantasy Fiction First Friday Season 2, where we will be reading my second novella, because, it's not really that big to be a novel. But it's called The House on G Street, and it is a story of friendship, and it's also a story of possession, because, I love the supernatural. It's got some very dark moments, and it's also got a lot of modern historical Easter eggs in it that I'm very excited to bring to you. I am currently working on a book right now. Oh, I really hope to have it out. Sorry, my kids are yelling in the background about whatever. I don't know. I really hope to have it out by... I want to have it out by December, but it'll probably be early 2024. And it does not have a title right now, but it's a story. It's a freaking story. So keep an eye out for it. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, you are valid, you are worthy, and you are